Boom! Rolling with another Dissect song. It's called I'm Okay by Electric Swing Circus. So their whole entire album is awesome, by the way. Electric Swing Circus. I recommend getting the entire thing because I like every single song off of it. So we're gonna get right into it. It's gonna be an interesting one to dissect down. I haven't listened to it too much, so it's gonna be challenging for me because I don't know all of it. And so let's see what we find. So I mean, I already like the feeling already. It's like this low key, but the song actually gets a lot louder, more robust as it goes on. But so like the way it starts isn't at all like representative of how it actually goes, which is going to be pretty neat when we get into it. But right, you have the regular beat. And her lyrics, how can you not use this stuff? It's perfect. It has like a slow vibe to it. And like, so the words are slow, so you can definitely feel out the words. They're easy to identify. You can clearly make movements to them, which is always a good thing in my book. But what I wanted to stop it for is the little hi-hat. I'm having trouble myself discerning exactly the pattern of it. And I hope it's loud enough. Excuse me, I'm going to turn up the volume. So I always have trouble with hi-hats, honestly. I'm gonna play it one more time. Try and listen to the hi-hat. It comes in right when her voice starts, and it goes. Alright, so now we're getting into it. Enough of that hi-hat. Let's go with the bass. So he goes deet deet na 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 na. Freaking awesome. It's gonna go dot dot na 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 na.
I try to provide a groove to settle in and get familiar with our rhythm.
I mean, look, her lyrics are so good to use and get. It just goes sultry, and smooth, and get familiar. Like it like the jump, the contrast between how she's using her words is so freaking good. And again, I don't know this whole song, so I'm kind of learning it as I'm doing this video here. But it's like, dang, it's like the syncopation of how she presents the lyrics is freaking cool. You can almost just have it a cappella and be awesome.
I try to provide a groove to settle in and get familiar with our rhythm, but we're in it anyway. So let the division begin.
Damn. So you can listen to that breakdown real quick, that quick drum breakdown. It goes and it has this weird. It's pretty sweet. Super quick. And right before that, it has this like cool. Goes dun, 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 dun. So listen to the very back. Right? Dun, 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 dun. And then you combine that with that.
And here we couldn't fight the false frontiers. So what I said, I can't unsay. We did our best to get to know. This is the ebb and flow, but we did our best.
So you have that flute or whatever instrument that is. And then you have her lyrics, which has a great flow in itself. Flow.
Did our best to settle in. We're gonna let the rhythm begin. Did our best to get to know. This is the ebb and flow, but we did our best to settle in. When we do our best to get to know that this is the ebb and flow, but it could have been a solid.
I mean, this track is so freaking cool lyrically. Like, I'm trying to discern the beat patterns, but I can't, like, stop hearing to how she's wording everything. So if you were to do a piece or a freestyle to this, like, the lyrics give you so much. And what I mean by that is, like, the way she uses the syllables. And if this was the line of her lyrics, it always has this, like, it'll be smooth and jump, da 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 da. Like, the syncopation within how she's vocalizing everything is, it's like a beat in itself. Basically, it's like an instrument in itself. And I just love how she uses it.
The prospect to create. Could it have been a better chance by far to follow and find where it goes? Then wallow in a downswing just because we can.
I mean, I have no idea what she said, and I can hardly keep up with that pattern, but like, you could imagine all the little quick movements you would do to her lyrics.
In a solid state with a prospect to create. Could it have been a better chance by far to.
Right, so there's this moment, it flows to create, right, and then it gives you to create those syllables. That's two movements right there. That's the same as a double hit, like dot dot. Create, right? You can use that, and then she like riffs off. I don't know what word she says, but it goes quick. I could have been a better time, right? I could have been a better, like whatever you can imagine moving to the, and you could do the method that I use, or count out, and it could have been a, like something. I would necessarily probably wouldn't count that out. I'd probably just try and feel the start and the beginning of that vocal pattern. And I would go, okay, if I moved to that entire pattern in its whole, I could have da 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 da, whatever. I'm not going to count out each individual thing, but if I did a motion that seemed to fit the beginning, match pieces of the middle, and then finish with the end, visually that's going to come across to the audience as matching kind of whatever the sound just came out. Sometimes I think it's kind of like a cheat thing, because it technically isn't like everything lining up with your body, but it also is, because even just the up is a sound, down is a sound, that's a sound. So like this whole motion in between, everything that's going on here, it doesn't have to be all these points like, okay, this is one, down here's one. Like even the in-between can visually come across as something that's matching the music. That's why something like rolls work. It's not the fact that this image and this image is what's giving it. It's the whole motion in its entirety that's giving it the illusion of the sound, if that makes sense. I know that was kind of a weird way to put it, but like even just rotating here or just boom, like the motion in itself is kind of filling out the time and space of the sound and is kind of accentuating the sound. This is a very subtle thing I'm saying. I am not the best at it, but I know the best use it like this. They're probably not even conscious of it like that in honesty. I've never heard anyone break it down like this before. So if you can follow what I'm saying here, the subtlety of it, I don't know, hopefully I'm getting it across correctly. It's super hard to communicate, but that's kind of what it is. Even like the motion through space itself could be accentuating multiple sounds that are going on, rather than thinking you needed a picture of A, B, C to accentuate the sound, if that makes sense. So this could actually look like ABC as opposed to 1, 2, 3 looking like ABC. You have to play around with that. You have to play around with a lot of movements, see what comes across on video, see what doesn't come across on video. This is definitely an art more than a science. I can't tell you one way or the other. And that's a super subtle distinction, I said, with the intricacies of why movement ends up looking the way it does visually to an audience. So yeah, that's one thing. Moving on, because that was a long rant. Boo!
To follow and find where it goes.
Can you hear that?
Don't wallow in a downswing just because we can.
So real quick, I want to pause it right there. You could hear a little ping. It goes pong. That was a bad. It was like a ping, and it fades off. See if we can catch it. So it goes, you hear this downbeat. It goes doom, bing. I'll play it one more time. See if we can catch it better.
Don't wallow in a downswing just because we can.
So that sound that I'm talking about is gonna be on a 3. If we count it correctly, I could hopefully. So yeah, it's on a 3. Go bing.
Oh, look at what happened here. We couldn't fight the false frontiers. Oh, what I said, I can't unsay, but I'm okay. Oh, can you hear me now? I said yeah.
Alright, so that was super subtle. They actually used the first sound that the entire song opened with real quick in the middle there. You hear that? So it's only 3. It's actually only 3 sounds. So the sound that I'm talking about, it's on a 3 and it's only 3 sounds.
But I'm okay. Oh, can you
So another chorus.
settle in?
Da, 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 da. Oh, I can't do it. I tried to remember it as it played. But notice the first pattern of that was just her voice, and then if you notice there was a little maybe chimes or something like that that came in for the next pattern of it, and you could switch it off on there. I don't know if they're different, but let's find out. That's the whole point. So you're going to listen to her first saying ba ba da ba. You're going to listen to that first pattern and then see if you can identify the other sound that happens as it comes in for the second pattern. Right, here it comes. It's kind of a mixture of like the bass and like these chimes timed together. But if you listen to the back layer, now you're going to hear different like textures and different qualities to the same layer. Same pattern, still her voice, but it can kind of give you maybe a new idea if you're in a choreo block or something like that. Just by identifying a new layer, you can be like, huh, okay, maybe, well, now I want to move like this because it sounds like this. And then boom, gives you the idea you need. So just by switching up the layer could help you get through certain choreo blocks and things like that. Subtle distinction. In the third, so this sequence is repeating. In the third one, if you listen really close, the bass, it goes dun-dun-dun really quick, which is not the same as hers. Hers is just one note, but they throw in multiple notes there really quickly. Right here. Right, it goes dun-dun-dun-dun, but she doesn't do dun-dun-dun-dun. Listen, here it goes. Right, and then the bass layer comes back in, the boom, cat comes in. And so this is like kind of come to the end of the song. So what it is identifying how the same patterns can even switch up from 8 count to 8 count. And what you hear now is like the next part, it goes into the last chorus, but even then they switch it up to be a little more like robust, like it's coming to a climax.
Yeah, I'm okay. Well, we did our best to get to know. This is the ebb and flow. But we did our best to settle in. We're gonna let the division begin. We did our best to get to know. This is the ebb and flow. But we did our best to settle in.
Right, bam, bam, but that wasn't in the original chorus, right? Which is kind of cool. So they're adding things as the song goes on. That's what makes, in my opinion, good music is when they don't just, copy paste and it's the same pattern throughout the whole thing and then they just kind of repeat everything. Like when an artist takes the time to start switching things up as it goes on, I mean, to me that's just more interesting. And when you're watching someone visually represent the song, the more that there is to visually represent, the more engaging the song is. So I try to look for engaging music like that. That's what I mean by engaging music, is lots of layers, different syncopation, creative ways in how they use the lyrics, the different tones, the different instruments, all that stuff. And I encourage you to look for music that's like that too. It's going to expand your knowledge. It's going to expand your mind, your ability to listen. weirdly enough, and I haven't tested this is just a theory, but I feel like by listening to music like this intensely and identifying it and separating out the layers and the frequencies in your head, you're actually subtly working out your hearing muscles, like your ear muscles, literally your eardrums. And what I'm hoping is that it actually extends your ability to hear well throughout your lifetime, basically. Like you'll be able to hear things better. Your hearing won't degrade as fast or as much as you get older. So that's a little theory I have. I've done literally zero research, but I thought about it. I'm like, oh, it makes sense. I feel like I'm exercising my ears, right? I'm hearing more things. Like I feel like it's a good, I feel like that makes sense. I don't know. If anyone has any scientific data on that, yeah, let me know. So the video is kind of long. Wanted to give a quick synopsis or rundown of kind of my interpretation of the song. With this song, like my focus would be when I'm going to listen to this more and dissect it more for myself is listening to all her little lyrics and inflections and the way she uses the words at certain points, right? The ups and downs of that, and seeing if I can really like get into that and find movement to it. But also I'm going to be dissecting down the moments where this, not random, but like this quick instrumentation comes on, where these layers that aren't necessarily always there kind of come in at the, usually with this, it's always at the end of an 8 count, like she'll put in something at the end of an 8 count. Also what's interesting is they use a lot of the same patterns throughout the song, but they'll take different layers out at different points. So it might be the same chorus, say, but they dropped one whole instrument out or one whole layer out. Now it gives it kind of a whole new sound, or they take stuff out and then put in one new thing, which that happens at the end of the song. So stuff like that, I'm just gonna try and for myself play around. And anytime you're listening to music, I would invite you to kind of do the same thing. See what you can hear, see what patterns you can tell are there, and then end up switching as the song progresses. That's kind of interesting. I think a lot of songs usually do this. I know Justin Timberlake does this a lot. Bruno Mars might even do it a lot. Any artist that uses a lot of instruments and different layers, you'll generally find this, that they like to switch it up as the song goes on. But see if you can do that. What you start finding is that a lot of artists don't take the time to do this. It's the same pattern throughout. And as dancers, honestly, I kind of get bored with a lot of mainstream music simply because there's not so many layers. I'm going to do a Dissect a song on some popular music. That way we can really hear what's going on and hear either how much instrumentation there is or how many layers there are and how much there isn't. So I think you'll be surprised. It's interesting to go from when you start doing this stuff and you start really realizing like, oh wow, radio music isn't everything I thought it was. There is a good emotional quality that I think to mainstream music, and that's its power, is it has generally some of the best emotional quality to it, but in terms of technical quality, generally isn't always up to par with some of the other stuff that's out there. That's my own opinion, but I invite you to kind of use these skills, right? See what you find in different songs that you hear. You might find you like other genres better. You might be like, you know what, I actually kind of like this type of music now, whereas you didn't think before because now you're starting to hear more. So that's kind of what it's all about, just loving music, dissecting it down, and seeing how we can move to it. So thank you again, and hope you enjoyed it.
To get to know, this is the ebb and flow.